for general family viewing.
Wow, thank you and welcome to another episode of The Realtor. And today I believe we're here with an answer to a lifetime. Now, we have been talking about power. We've been talking about, conserving our environment. We've been talking about how we can be able to reduce our bills. And you know what? We have never touched about power. And this one we are talking about solar energy against the conventional powers that we've been having all this. Now, we'll be handling one at a time, and I believe at the end of all this, we shall be having a solution to a greener life, to a better life, and to a more economical life. I'm not alone. I'm at SIGNET, and this is a company that is providing solar energy solutions, and they shall be taking us through step by step. My name is Robert Dungu. Karibu sana. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
SIGNET.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Now, first things first, tuambie wewe ni nani?
My name is Robert Gitemi Munene. I'm the co-founder and CEO of SIGNET Solar. In SIGNET Solar, we offer renewable energy solutions in the solar industry.
Right.
Yes.
Wow, the co-founder. So you have the basics.
Yes, I have a background in electrical engineering, but transitioned into sales, became a senior hawker, and now the CEO of this organization.
So hawkers, you have your day. I mean, your tomorrow is bigger and it's greater, because I think I always tell people I started and they're like, okay, everybody has a background, has a story to tell. Thank you so much for the good job you're doing at SIGNET. We have seen you in store, we have heard of you at the same time until we had to land here and get to know, in details what is this that solar power has. Because I think it is becoming the talk of the day. Now, maybe you can introduce what is power energy. What is solar energy?
Basically, solar energy is energy that we generate from the sun, which of course we know that is a free resource that we've been given by God. So what we do is now you put together some infrastructure that allows you to be able to collect the power from the sun and convert that power into energy that can actually be used now to power our daily lives. Okay. Yeah.
Watu wa physics, karibuni. Watu wa biology, you're gonna sit down and learn, because when it comes to conversion of power and all this, I think this is where now it counts. And my namesake, Robert, is here to, to explain and to break it down. Now, when you talk about this, now I know the globe, brother, is fighting for green energy. Are you coming as part of the same, or this whole campaign has found you working?
So there is definitely a contribution that we can make to this conversation, and we are actually excited that at such a time as this, even as we drive that initiative, even on a global perspective, there is also a contribution from all the major players towards maintaining a cleaner environment, towards the conversation of the climate change. So it is actually, I would say, a hybrid model or a combination of our efforts, both at a global level, but also asking ourselves, what role do we have to play in as far as this conversation is concerned?
And Robert, there's a perception that, I don't know whether it is right or wrong, you can correct us, that solar energy belongs to those who cannot afford electricity, the grid one.
Yeah.
How is that?
Basically, I think it's because most of us are coming from a place where we grew up in rural homes. And I remember my own experience is that there was a small solar panel on the roof, and then there was a small battery in the house. So our experience with solar was that most of us didn't have access to grid, and therefore solar was the only solution available. But I think now we are at a place where we know that solar can power basically anything, be it homes, be it the commercial sector. So now solar is able to power everything. So it's from that point of what we know. We are coming from the known to the unknown. Yes.
Now, having talked about two aspects, maybe you can tell us further whether this is what you do as SciTech. How do you distribute your power? What packages do you have, and to whom is it targeted?
All right. So at SciTech Solar, we have several categories of solutions. So the first one is the power for residential, where we power homes. These are homes that could be off-grid, or even people who have the grid but they would want a more reliable source of power. The second category that we have is the commercial, where we are powering businesses, communities, we are powering schools and health facilities. So we call it the commercial and industrial sector. You will hear of the initials CNI. Then we also do boreholes, which is another category. Then we do the street lighting. This is where you're able to do the standalone lamps, and then you could be able to power the common facilities. So we have all those categories in our product portfolio.
Right. Yeah. And maybe Robert, you can tell us, is it possible to live, and I'm not against now the grid, the conventional power that you're used to.
Yep.
Is it possible to have a whole city, or rather a whole life powered by solar?
It's actually possible. I think if we borrow one or two examples, even in the more developed worlds, we are aware of an airport in India that actually runs on solar. So it is actually possible to power our lives on solar, because the only question we should be able to answer is there sun, and will the sun rise and set tomorrow? So long as the sun will be available, then it means it will be possible to get that energy. It is possible to live on that energy.
And maybe I know we'll be coming to cost implication, both in saving as the end user, and also the in terms of production. But then maybe we can ask ourselves, how is it beneficial in conserving the environment, and also making sure that we have life?
All right. So in terms of environmental conservation, we are looking at the impact of solar as far as we talk about the reduction on the dependence on the fossil fuels, which is a major contributor to the environment degradation. And if you look at the solar systems that we install, you are actually able to see, based on how much power you generate, it is equivalent to planting how many number of trees. So I think we need to create that correlation between us doing solar and that contribution to the environment. So it's not just power, because most of us, at the end of the day, you want power in your home, but our conversation now is this power that we are supplying, which is from solar, what are the other matrices that we could measure as far as that power is concerned? So you're looking at number of trees planted, it is equivalent to how many trees, the clean environment, the SDG agendas. So we have a major contribution that we are making to the environment.
All right. Now, you have this point. If if we're talking about what did you call it? If sun rises and sets in the evening, we have power. That's given.
In fact, our slogan is sun at work.
Sun at work.
So the sun is working,
yes,
and therefore burning our bills.
So what you need to know is that a sun that rises in the morning, sets in the evening, can sort your life when it comes to power provision. And SciTech are here probably just to make sure this thing is broken down, you understand, and you stop this narrative that it belongs to those who cannot afford the steamer that we are used to. Now, having said this, maybe you can tell us, we come from a place, you said we come from a place of known to unknown. Is the general public aware of this, or what are you doing to sensitize people that we need to shift? All right.
There is increased awareness. I think we are bridging the information gap that has been there previously. Just last week, our digital marketer conducted a survey, and we were able to realize that about 70-80% of our respondents actually know the basic terms as far as solar is concerned. So they can mention terms like kilowatts, kVA, watts, and those are the general terms that we use in the solar industry. So I think now we are moving, and of course with the increased connectivity to internet and so on, we are moving to a place where the customer is becoming more aware of the solutions that are available in solar, which actually is a plus for us. but it also puts us on the litmus test, because now you can't offer anything substandard. You have to offer quality solutions to this informed client.
Having talked about the quality, Mr. Robert, maybe you can tell us, is this whole thing maybe because we are used in Kenya whereby something storms the market in a span of 5, 7, 8 years, on the 10th year it's normal, and people invested and actually shifted both their mindset and also their resources. Is this solution sustainable, something that requires maybe some kind of speculations?
It is very sustainable, I would say that confidently. The issue with the solar industry is that it is a technical space, and therefore you cannot do it off the shelf. So it's not like the bread you buy from the shop. That bread, you can eat it anyhow. You can decide to just pull it, the block one, just pull out, and you can take it with tea, apply Blue Band and so on. But for solar, there is a design component behind the scenes. And the challenge with what you're saying about products just booming into our market is the element of people not being aware about the design perspective. And therefore you find that over the course of time, if that one is not arrested, then we will have a lot of substandard products getting into our market. But now on our end, what we are trying to do is we have incorporated the design element into it, value addition, so we don't just sell off-the-shelf products. Yeah.
We're coming to that when it comes to design and all this. Maybe the last one you can tell us, in as much as you have a solution, you're also in business.
Yep.
And in Kenya particularly, because this is where we are, we also know the sole provider of the grid power. Are you in competition, or you're complementing, or you're just working it out your way?
I would say we are complementing. In fact, most of the systems that we have done, we use solar as the primary source of power, and then the client is able to kick in the grid on demand basis. So it is not, I would not say it's a direct competition per se. It is a complementary setup.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you so much. I believe you're getting this right. And you have your construction, you have your project, be it commercial, be it residential. Robert is saying that solar will work out, even industries. And that's why we brought him here just to explain and to make us know that solar indeed is working, and it's not a hearsay. This is not a cliche. It is working, and that is where we are at SciTech. Don't go away, because after this short break, we'll be right back with now breaking down how you can acquire and where they are and how you can get your power installed. Welcome back. This is a Realtor. My name is Robert Dongo, and I'm today privileged to have my namesake on site. He is Robert of SciTech Power Solution or Solar Solutions, and we are here just to make sure that we bring to you this very solution, which is very basic. Of course, I remember those old days when you used to use, the kerosene rather, the paraffin lamps and all these. Today, you have a lot of solutions. So, welcome back so much, sir. I'm happy because I can start imagining how soon things gonna be easy when it comes to sun rising and sun setting. Yes. Sasa kuna huyu mtu ambaye anajenga. At the very preliminary stages, we see the electricians or the electrical engineers do their bit, the piping and all this, and we know that is their time to come. At what time should we look for you when you have a project?
So for someone who has a project, I would recommend that we are incorporated actually at the very initial stage. We have found ourselves just working with the client even through the construction period. And this helps us to capture the requirements and the needs and our input even as far as the electrical engineering part is concerned. Because remember, solar rides on the existing infrastructure. So we will actually depend on the plumbing work that has been done and on the electrical wiring that has been done. So if that infrastructure, there is an issue with it, then definitely we will also be affected. So we would actually recommend to be incorporated as early as possible, even at the design stage.
All right. And having said that you depend, or rather you work on the flowing of the existing infrastructure, that means I don't have to change the bulbs, I don't have to change anything. It's plug and play.
Not at all. You don't have to change anything. So we will just come and do the solar solution. That power is actually terminated at what we call the consumer unit or your distribution board. So from that point, you run on the existing infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by this we mean having done all this together, we can have the grid power as a backup.
Yes. So what we do is we have smart inverters. So those smart inverters have two inputs. There is an input from solar and an input from the grid. So it means that we are able to set the inverter to actually pick solar as your primary source of power. So the grid becomes the standby source of power and would only kick in moments when you have depleted your solar energy.
Now, I believe you're there and you understand these terms because you've been there. And if you don't, then just listen because Bob is breaking. Okay, Robert is breaking it down so well. Now, I want us to take a 3-bedroom bungalow and solar power it.
Yes. All right. So the concept of sizing a solar system, first of all, we need to mention that it is not a one-size-fits-all. We are able to come up with very custom-fit solutions. And the science behind that is the fact that we vary in terms of our demands for power and even our demands for even the patterns of consumption of power. So if you take a classical example, like you've mentioned about a 3-bedroom bungalow, there are those appliances we will say are common. For instance, that bungalow will have the lights, the TV, the fridge. There are those that will have a small booster pump and so on. So those are the ones that we use to do the sizing. So the concept of solar is you work backwards. So I first of all identify how much power do you need, and then I am able to design and generate that power for you. Remember, I should just generate power enough for today because the sun will again be available tomorrow. Yeah. So a 3-bedroom bungalow, you're looking at a typical example. You're looking at 3 kVA solution. 3 kVA means that 3,000 watts. So you need a 3,000 watts inverter. You need to have about 4 or 5 units of electricity available in storage, which is equivalent to about 4 batteries. And then that translates to about 4 solar panels on the roof. So that is the main components of that system. Then of course now there are the accessories like the cabling just to terminate that system.
Right. Yeah. And that does mean because someone will be asking, you have done that, you have sized and you have installed, and sun rose in the morning, set in the evening. Yep. What happens in the night?
So what happens in the night, that's why we have factored in the storage. So you generate during the day, you store in the batteries, what we call the batteries. So what we store in the batteries is what should be sufficient to run you through the night. and then tomorrow we generate again. So we size the batteries based on how many units you use at night or how much power you use at night. In that point, maybe I could mention, we go case by case, like I have mentioned. So there are clients who we will realize there is some sensitivity in the nature of their storage. So we factor in a bigger storage. We call them the hours of autonomy. How many hours do you want this storage to last? Worst case scenario. So there are even clients who will tell you, I have a fridge. In this fridge, there could be some medical medicines in there. So make sure you have factored that as you do the sizing. So we factor that in the storage.
All right.
Yeah.
So having said that, now we are started with a 3 bedrooms bungalow, modern one.
Yeah.
You have mentioned about the TVs and the fridges and all that. Let's come to someone who runs a business or someone who is putting up an apartment and want to incorporate you people. How practical is it, and is it sufficient and safe?
So for someone running a business, I'll do it in 2 scenarios. There are people running a business and they are running mostly during the day. So those ones, we give them a solution called a grid-tie solution, where you generate directly and consume. You don't need to incorporate the storage. So for those ones, they are able to achieve running your operations almost 100% on solar during the day. Now, for someone in an apartment, also to speak, it is also possible to power the entire apartment on solar. Remember, like I had mentioned, the issue with solar is if you get it right at the design stage. So we just need to capture it right at the design stage, and then you're able now to generate enough power even to run an entire apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone will talk about changing climate, or rather weather, not climate, weather. What happens if IHN may be factored in when we have sun, and during rains and all this time that we don't have much of sun rising? Is it the typical sun that we see, or we are talking about other hidden solar, sun power?
I think now that we are based in Kenya, even as we do this interview, you are looking at the privilege of being at the equator.
Yes.
If you look at other European countries, they actually get 2 or 3 months of autonomy throughout the year. For Kenya, you're looking at 9, 10 months. We only have a very cold season around July, August. And the concept of solar is the concept of sunlight. So long as there is sunlight, then there will be generation. What happens is, on an extremely cold and cloudy day, you don't generate the entire 100%. So what we do is, the solution to that is, number one, as you do the sizing, you factor in what we call a factor of safety. So you consider that even on an extremely cold day, this client is still able to generate something. Number two, we've brought on now the IoT switches and sockets. So we have a 24-hour call center where we are able to monitor all our systems. So even on an extremely bad day, we are able to advise our clients at the end of the day that, look, your system is at 60%. You could consider using only the critical appliances. So if you are to do ironing today, you can postpone it to tomorrow. If you are to pump water today, but you have sufficient water to run through the day, you can pump tomorrow. So there's a concept of load management where we advise our clients even on such scenarios.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, unajua kuna mali huwa zinaanuliwa. So zenu azianuliwi. Zikianuliwa, you have to wait until zianikwe, or rather restoration is done. Now, having said that, I believe the elephant in this house, or rather in this discussion, is the cost implication.
Yeah.
Kindly, in a minute, tell us what is this that we are looking at, even as we green our environment.
So the elephant in the room, like we've talked, is the initial investment in terms of the solar solution, but we would love to look at it from a long-term perspective. I say that there are 2 ways of looking at it. Every time you pay your monthly bill, it is slow death. So if you look at it from the long-term perspective and the payback period, then you will actually realize that it makes sense now to invest in the solar. Number 2, we've also come up with the flexible payment plans for our clients to avoid the deadlock.
I know we are living in quite a technical and digital or digitalized world where everything is now coming to my palm. how are you handling power when it comes to digital systems?
So one of the key areas that we need to address as far as power is concerned is energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is all about, it is not just about generating the power, it is also how we use the power. And one of the familiar terms in our country has been that, I would use it in the power industry, is that the power sector has also been very opaque. So you as the client, you're not aware of how much you generate or how much you use. So now we've come up with an IoT platform that allows you to even remotely control your gadgets. Wow. Remember, you can generate solar, but you leave your iron box fixed because you are running late for this interview. So it means that your iron box consumes power throughout the day. But once you get to this interview and realize, oops, my appliance is on, you can actually switch it off. Then at the end of the month, you could also be able to see a last mile data broken down of how your appliances are using power. And why that is important is because some of us could be having a pump that is 10 years old, consuming a lot of power because of the technology then. You could actually consider replacing it with a modern pump, which is now more efficient.
Wow, Robert, that's amazing. I know we cannot confine here what you're offering to the public in one show. I would love you just to give you give your last one to our viewers. Tell them what you think about solar and why we should embrace this.
When I look at solar, I am looking at powering our lives, but more importantly, looking at even the generations coming. Every time you talk about solar, you will mention the word sustainability. And sustainability basically means we are not just using power today at the expense of the generations that are coming. So we have a role to play in actually ensuring that we have a cleaner environment. And therefore, and now that we have custom-made solutions for any of us, don't hesitate, reach out to us. We will be able to offer you a solution. And every time you switch on the lights, you won't have to panic that that's an increased expense in your market, from your pocket in terms of the operational expenses. You hear your kids planning the way they will watch a movie tonight, the whole night, and you're there shaking, knowing that your tokens will be going down.
Right.
So you can just do a solar solution and, just be able to enjoy that power.
Thank you so much, Robert. And I beg that we bring this to closure because we cannot confine solar solutions into one show. What you need to do is just to talk to Robert, talk to SciTech Solar Solutions. They are in Westlands, the Mirage. This is just along Wayakwe. And now what you need to do is to understand the dynamics and the changes that you're experiencing in our lives so that we can as well plan accordingly and align so that we are not left behind. Thank you so much for keeping it the Realtor. My name is Robert Dungo. Until next time, God bless you.